Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect, who is in the gospel abroad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. It says Trump just put the entire world on notice in his Davos speech. It says Glenn Beck reacts to President Trump's speech to his World Economic Forum in Davos. Before has Glenn it made his two announcements about Greenland, which Greenland is a subsidiary of NATO, which is a province of Denmark, which I believe he come to some type of agreement. Well, I won't say agreement or a deal, but from what I was reading, it says Greenland deal and framework completed. But from what I'm understanding, they didn't want to go through with it. So regardless of it, this is prophecy being fulfilled, because if in fact he does invade Greenland, which it's a possible chance that he may invade it to make it part of U.S. territory, because he claimed that they had stakes to it during the time of World War II, and now they want it back to be sure that they can protect it or some shit, man. But whatever. But either way it go, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah is moving the chess pieces. And like we say here, Great Millstone, man, hey, this man is going to cause his entire nations and his entire conglomerate to come up against him. All right. And before this situation with the RFID chip manifests itself, the puzzle pieces will already be in place for World War III, as this is a spark of it. Because if they lose NATO, then they're on their own. Point blank, period. So fair use, fair use. I'm going to play a couple of minutes of this video. And I got some things pulled up and get a couple of precepts, and that'll be that. But this is prophecy speaking, man. So stay tuned. Here we go.
They have a choice. You can say yes, and we will be very appreciative, or you can say no, and we will remember. As I
want to take just a second
forever,
here and
but I think
kind of
years is
recap what he has done, because he's been speaking for about 45 minutes now. And there is a clear theme. He came out in the first 20 minutes before we joined him on the podcast. And his theme was how strong America is, economically, energy, everything that is going on, and how the globalists have failed, and how that was rotting the middle class, and how that is in the past. But he kept coming back to, here's our strength, here's our strength, here's what's coming, here's the power plants that we're building, here's how we're working with some of the people in this very room who didn't believe me when I said you can build your own power plant and you're going to have permission within 2 weeks. He said we didn't have the grid to be able to sustain. We didn't have the energy. So he spent the first part talking about our economic growth. He talked about a GDP growth of 5.6%. That's way beyond what the IMF said that we would be growing at. And I heard a speech before the president, the EU, the European Union was very excited to talk about their, I think, 1.6% GDP growth. So it's remarkable in comparison to the rest of the world. But then he said, I believe most of this stuff is ad lib, because he said right before we went on the air,
friends of mine would say,
he said, I think I'd get bad reviews if I didn't talk about Greenland. And he said, do you want me to talk about Greenland? He said, because I think I need to address that here. I wasn't going to, but let's talk about Greenland.
So that's on the table next, Greenland. All right. They already invaded Venezuela, kidnapped, President Maduro and his wife, which I believe that was all psyop. Allegedly with this dude, with Maduro. I don't know if the people really favored him prior to, because for the simple fact, he mentioned that he was trying to do a deal with the U.S. or some shit he mentioned. But allegedly, the U.S. wanted to take it. But, who knows, man? There's different articles and different information about what's really transpiring. So, who really knows? But we do know that America is in the business of stealing resources and trying to prop up the economy to put the leverage on the world so they can remain the hammer of the earth. And that's really what it boils down to. at the end of the day. So with this whole Maduro shit, him being kidnapped, that's still up for debate, even though they extracted him. But, from videos and pictures I saw, it's really kind of hard to tell. Then you got this whole Colombia ordeal, and you have Cuba and him invading the Latin world. And then now he wants to get Greenland. This dude he's barking up a tree that he's not going to be able to come down from because, as I mentioned, this is going to be the quickest kickback of his allies turning against him if he decides to invade Greenland, which would not be very smart. But, this is Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah's program, and he's going to make it do what it do, okay? So this is the book of Psalms 37, and I'm going to start at verses... let's start at verses 35. It says, I've seen the wicked in great power and spreading himself like a green bay tree. Yeah. Okay, he's literally spreading himself thin. And when you go into the history of the Romans, it was the same account. The military was spread too thin. It was taking over certain territories through war to the point that, the men were being spread thin. Then you had economic turmoil. Then you had civil unrest, collapse in infrastructure, okay, division, political division. You had division among the Caesars at that time. It was a shit show. And it's the same thing as history repeats itself. All right. And it says, I've seen the wicked in great power and spreading himself like a green bay tree. Yet he passed away, and lo, he was not. And yeah, I sought him, but he could not be found. So this is getting ready to be the end. All right. Because as I mentioned, all the lines, all the puzzle pieces, all the chess pieces are already on the board, and everything is being lined up perfectly. So when the Third World War starts, well, which technically we in World War III, but when the missiles are shot, the targets will already be solidified. The tensions will already be there. Okay. So now we're just waiting on an economic downturn and for them to push this chip. And then when that happens, hell, shit, this can turn which way ugly, because once the dollar goes, the global economy goes, and that's going to piss off the other nations. And he's already fucking over his allies. So essentially, he just set himself into a corner. Okay, scriptures say that he's set a trap, that he got caught. He's getting caught in his own snare.
Greenland. And he has spent now the last half an hour, one way or another, speaking about Greenland. And there are a few remarkable things that he has said. He has said, I love Europe. There are parts of Europe you can't even recognize anymore. That has to stop. The leaders either don't understand or you do understand and you won't do anything about it. He said, that's why we are changing, because this system doesn't work. He then talked about Venezuela and how strong America was in Venezuela and what had just happened. And he said, with Venezuela, I told them to make a deal. Oh, they were willing to make a deal after the attack.
Well, they already mentioned that they tried to make a deal, but the deal that they wanted to make, you just wasn't trying to hear it because basically at the end of the day, you wanted to take. Okay, it wasn't a deal when you want to bully people out of their own shit. If I say, well, look, we can do a 80-40 split. Since it's our land, you get 40. Well, 80-40 split don't even make sense, but you get the point. We do like a 60-40 split or a 70-30 split. They get 30%. We have 70% of the resources. We troll and delegate it, and then, we have our business leaders here. That wasn't good enough for Babylon because essentially Babylon wants 100% of your product so they can control you, so they can enslave you, and they can dangle this dollar over your head and they can threaten you with the military, and that's what they do. But now the nations are not backing down to that no more because the other nations have military power, and this is why they want to stop Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon, man. So I says here, if Donald Trump was to successfully take Greenland, because now invasion is on the table. Since they won't let him purchase it, hey, he's like, look, we're going to take it, which is stupid. But it says, meaning the U.S. acquires control through purchase, negotiation, or more coercive means. This will be an unprecedented geopolitical event, which will spark more tension among the European Union and NATO. It says, Greenland is a semi-autonomous territory of Denmark, the world's largest island and a strategic Arctic asset. Trump has long expressed interest in acquiring it for national security reasons, citing threats from Russia and China in the region, access to rare earth minerals. And the brother sent an article the other day about the rare earth minerals in Greenland, and this is the reason why he won it. Okay, that he wants the minerals. He don't give a fuck about protecting it from the Russians. That was never the point. He wants the resources, man. Read Obadiah. It says rare earth minerals and potential missile defense systems. As of early 2026, he's pushed for negotiations, announced a framework deal with NATO leadership, and even threatened tariffs on Europe, which he later canceled amid progress. But however, Denmark and Greenland have firmly rejected any sale or takeover. So there go your attention right there. All right. So it says below the outline hypothetical outcomes based on analysis. View stakes a $700 billion deal rather than by force. Trump has publicly ruled out military action. Yeah, for now. It says strains or a collapse on NATO and U.S.-Europe relations. Acquiring Greenland from a NATO ally like Denmark could shatter the alliance. Revelation 17, baby. NATO's Article 5 collective defense will lose credibility if the U.S. seizes territory from a member state. Analysts predict most European countries may suspend membership, close U.S. bases across the continent, including existing ones in like Greenland, the Thule Air Base, and expel American troops. It says this will isolate the U.S., turning America's first into America alone, and empower rivals like Russia and China in the Arctic. Europe might accelerate independent defense initiative, nuclear program, or closing ties with Beijing. Wow. That's scriptures, though. Retaliation, Europe can impose sanctions, tariffs, or exclude U.S. companies from a 750 million person market. Tech giants like Apple and Google may face barriers. Tourism like Europe halts, and allies sell off U.S. Treasury bonds, devaluing the dollar, spiking borrowing costs. Worst case, this triggers economic collapse with the strictest semiconductor access hurting AI and defense. Massive cost to the U.S. The upfront price tag could hit $700 billion plus ongoing subsidies. Denmark currently provides about $600 million annually to Greenland. It says this may raise U.S. interest rates, inflate debt, and undermine affordability pledges. Long-term gains for mineral and trade routes could offset this, but short-term market chaos is likely. Stock may surge initially on deal hype, but if alliances fray. Yeah, this is not a good look. Yeah, so man, scriptures are really speaking. This is beautiful. I pray you do take it. Shit.
And then he said something really interesting. Let's make a deal. They didn't until after the attack. Gee, more people should do that, which I thought was really interesting. It was around this time in his speech. He was getting some laughs from leaders when he would make jokes or say things like that. Kind of an uncomfortable laugh from time to time. There has been no laugh line here. He has said things that he means as a joke a couple of times, but you've noticed there hasn't been any laugh, not a single laugh line. The world leaders are listening to him. I think this is the most consequential speech I have heard a president give since possibly the Berlin Wall speech or the Evil Empire speech given by Ronald Reagan. But this is much, much deeper. He is breaking up the United Nations. He is breaking up the bureaucracy of the WEF. He is putting Europe on notice. He then has been going in here during the Greenland part in the last 20, 30 minutes.
No more than that. I said, Emmanuel,
he
doubling or tripling.
He keeps coming back to how powerful the United States is.
Yeah, the Most High got a spirit on this nigga, man. That's crazy. And they probably looking at him like, this dude has lost his fucking mind, man. Like, this dude is out his fucking mind, bro. And he is, but hey, shit, hey, we with it. Keep on, E. Shit, hey, more power to you. Hey, you have my full support, you damn devil. Do what you do so we can get the hell up out of here. Jeremiah 50, and I'm gonna start at verses 22. It says, a sound of battle is in the land, and of great destruction, the third world war. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Because at the end of the day, you're gonna be alone in this war, man. And it says, I have laid a snare for thee, and this is that snare. And thou hast also taken on Babylon, and thou was not aware. It says, thou art found also in cult, and thou hast striven against the Lord. Right. How? For one thing, fucking over the Israelites, man. That's the biggest mistake you done did. It says, the Lord have opened his armory and have brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of the Lord Yahweh of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans. So, yeah, the missiles come against her from the utmost border, open her storehouses, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly, and let nothing be left. Because this whole land is going to be laid desolate, man. You know? Let's go to the book of Obadiah. Because this dude is completely, he's crazy if he think that he's going to get away with this. But this is the book of Obadiah 1 and 5. It says, if thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? It says, would they not have stolen till they've had enough? And basically, he wants to steal a resource. He wants those precious minerals, man. It says, if gate gatherers came to thee, would they not leave any grapes? Yeah, because this man wants to take it all. When there's enough wealth in the world, he wants it all. You know? Let me see something here. Hypothetical. What rare earth minerals are found in Greenland? And green means life, greenery. See what it tells us. It says some of the world's largest untapped deposits of earthware minerals. Group of 17 chemically similar metals critical for technologies like electric vehicles. Remember, they wanted to go electric by 2030. Wind turbines, smartphones, military hardware. That's what he wants. According to the U.S. Geological Survey 2025 data, Greenland holds about 1.5 million metric tons of proven reserves, rare earth elements reserves, ranking in 8th globally. Some estimates suggest total resources could be much higher, up to 36 to 42 million tons. Golly. It says potentially making it the second largest China after China if fully explored. Holy shit. Yeah, this devil, yeah, he's on one. You got Greenland deposits here, both light and heavy rare earth elements. Notable emphasis on heavy ones, scarcer and more viable globally. Cerium, lithium, nidium, praseodymium, cerium, europium, gadolinium. Heavy, you got dysprosium, terbium. You got shit I can't even pronounce. That's crazy, man. And he want that. That's why he's doing it. He don't give a fuck about them people, man. Esau don't care. He's a devil. It says, how are the things of Esau searched out? How is this hidden thing sought up? It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border, and the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. Yeah, we getting ready to see that. It says, they that have ate thy bread have laid a wound under thee, and there is no understanding in him. But should I not in that day, says Yahweh, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and the understanding out of the mount of Esau? Yeah, so Esau, man, he's getting ready to lose his shit. Okay. Daniel 2:40. It says, and the fourth kingdom should be as strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdue all things, and as iron breaketh in all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. All right, this is going into the Roman Empire, that fourth beast. Whereas saw the feet and toes of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom should be divided. And yeah, we're seeing it. You mentioned he's severing the European Union, NATO. should be partly divided, but there should be in it of the strength of iron, for as much as thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, because you have strong economies in Europe, you have weakened economies in Europe, like the Germany, they're getting weakened now. Okay, Italy, they're through. Fucking Denmark, all these Edomite conglomerates, you have strong economies and weak economies. Hell, you had Brexit when the the UK succeeded from the European Union years ago. Wanted to be self-sustained, so to speak. So the European economy is partly strong, partly weak. America has a strong economy for the only reason because the petrodollar is the currency. But as far as that, the assets are shit, man. They just strong on paper only, and they're being backed by a military power. But outside of that, they ain't got nothing going. This is the reason why they want to take all this wealth. And it says, and whereas thou saw iron mixed with miry clay, they should mingle themselves with the seed of men, the great melting pot, and they should not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in these days of these kings should the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom which should never be destroyed, and the kingdom should not be left to other people, but it should break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it should stand forever, man. All right, and that's the kingdom of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. So yeah, man, they're divided. All right, let's get the last precept, Revelation 17, and I'm gonna start at verses. Let's start at verses 10, 12. And it says, and the 10 horns, which is the EU, which thou sawest, are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as of yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. And they have one in mind, and they should give their power and strength unto the beast, man. Okay, NATO. It says, and these should make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is, it says, for he is the Lord, he is Lord of lords, and King of kings, and they that are with him are called chosen and faithful. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, which is America, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Yeah, the people, man. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Yeah, that's they're breaking up. It says, for the Most High put in our hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and to give that kingdom unto the beast, until the words of Yahweh should be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth, which is America. And you know what's so ironic about it all? Years ago, Trump mentioned the prophets of doom, and how, the prophets, which he was talking about us, but he called us the prophets of doom because he said that, they said that we're going to go to the Middle East and spark a third world war. And that's exactly what the hell you're doing, which shows you the Heavenly Father got a mighty sense of humor at the end of the day, because you're doing exactly what we say you was going to do, because the Heavenly Father is ruling in your kingdom, man. Okay, it says the Lord working on the mind of the kings, he turning whatsoever he will. So you through, end of the day. You going to go there, and whatever move you going to make is going to lead to your allies coming against you, and you're going to be destroyed. All right, so anyway, I'm going to end it. All praises and glory honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Lord's will, you edified. To the next lesson. Shalom.
He broke some news. Let me see if I can find it. He broke, I think, some news where he said
Trump rolls out using military force.
Yeah, a couple of things. One, he, as he's listing the list of military accomplishments, he talked about how we have things that nobody understood, that we are now looking at these dangerous weapons. This was it. We have dangerous weapons, more dangerous than people recognize. In Venezuela, they pressed the trigger and nothing happened, and couldn't figure out what any of that meant. Then the other breaking news, as Ricky just reminded me, was we're not going to attack. I don't want to attack, and I won't attack. But again, his last words on that, right after that, was, you can say yes to giving us Greenland.
This operations manager with zero coding skills just saved his company $145,000.
You can come to the table, we'll make a deal, or you can say no. but we will remember. This is the strongest language I have ever seen a president of the United States give, because he's putting the entire world on notice. The world is changing. You don't have the cojones or the power to be able to deal with us in any other way. Come to the table now. Makes me uncomfortable, but I'm glad the president is standing. I think today is very consequential.
Shut your ass up.
So I think Trump doesn't know about Greenlandic people. We don't really value cash and Kardashian lips and fake boobs and stuff like that very highly. Actually, you cannot even own land in Greenland. You can get an allotment for your house and then you own the house on top of the land. But Greenlanders don't believe in the land is for one person, is for everyone. And so is the seas, like the riches that we have there. So it's a big miscalculation that he thinks that Greenlanders would be incited by cash or something like that. We're not. And even if you were to say like $100,000 per person or something like that, we wouldn't give up free healthcare. We wouldn't give up free education. We wouldn't give up being a part of Europe. We wouldn't give up on our sovereignty eventually. And we're a very sovereign people within the Kingdom of Denmark. We're autonomous right now. We do not want to be rich like the Americans are. See how greedy they are. They're even trying to shoot their friends or invade their friends just for greed. And we know that there's minerals and oils possibly in our underground, and that's worth so much more even than that. But even if we didn't have that, we would still not be bought. So everyone here knows about the Inuit in Alaska and all of the native tribes, Indians, American Indians who are there. Their land was taken from them and they haven't been treated that well in America. And we know that Trump is very much surrounding himself, at least with the white power people. And we are not white, as you can see. We are of color. And so we know our rights probably would be taken away. And we also know that we're very good as we are together with Denmark. As mentioned before, we have free healthcare, we have free study. Whatever you want to study, you can do that for free. And actually, government will give you money to study. So while you're studying, you're getting a grant from your government. So all of that we wouldn't trade for, like the welfare state. We wouldn't trade for anything in America. But also, you have to remember, a lot of Greenlanders have family, like their mother or father or grandmother or grandfather who is Danish. We do have a 400 years history together or more in terms of being interconnected in that way. So, and we're also seeing a lot of protests in America right now that is unsettling with the ICE agents who are sort of going after a lot of people. And from here, it looks like maybe he's going a lot after brown people. And we are considered brown people, as you can see. So, yeah, we would rather stay with Denmark. Thank you. America has had up to 17 bases here, and they have closed them all down except for one, the Bidufik Space Base. And America could amp up the base presence, their military presence, and even their military capabilities here all they wanted to. So that is not the argument. And of course, everyone in Greenland knows this. We may not be many, but we read, we're educated, and we know about the news of the world, right? Especially regarding our own country. So we know about the treaties that we have with America. This is very much akin to when you have a dog sledge team, when he's using that analogy, and one of the dogs all of a sudden turns around and bites you. You have to take it out of the kennel. You have to take it outside and shoot it. Of course, we're not going to shoot Americans. We're peaceful people, but you cannot trust that dog anymore forever. America has 10,000 soldiers who are for combat in Arctic society. Finland alone has 35,000. We also could impose if we wanted to escalate stuff, we could also impose like dropping all American treasury bonds, right? That would hurt. We also have, when you look at France and Canada and all of the allies that are coming to our rush right now, a very big arsenal actually of soldiers and of weapons especially. I mean, America had to borrow Denmark's warship for Arctic seas. So, I mean, it's not a given that America would win here. We fought alongside America in a lot of other wars around the world because we wanted to adhere to the treaties that we had gone through. But they have seen that some of the street fighting in Syria, for example, has been very, very hard on Western soldiers, right? I imagine it will probably be the same in Greenland. It would be like something else. So I wouldn't laugh it off, but of course nobody wants war and nobody wants to be invaded. Of course there are bad chapters with Denmark and Greenland because we have a 400-year history. But actually I also saw a YouTube video that kind of emerged recently that said American soldiers were very bad to some of our people here too in Arsuk, which is a small settlement in here. Some of the elders that remember them also said, well, those guys were really not that good. So it really doesn't matter what happened between Denmark and Greenland. We'll figure that out. Denmark and Greenland is fine as we are. We will figure it out. If we want to be independent, Greenlanders should be able to decide that, not with pressure from a superpower somewhere. And we are well aware that if we became independent tomorrow, he would just invade us because he would have no problems with NATO, Europe, you know, everything else. So I think he's banking sort of in a very insulting way that Greenlanders are like stupid, uneducated people who doesn't follow the news around the world, and we're not. It's the exact opposite. We're going to be here hundreds of years after Donald Trump. Even if he invaded us, I think we would just wait him out like bad weather. Everyone here knows that the weather decides. If we get a storm, we may have to hunker down for a day or two, and we will hunker down for a year or two, or even 10 years or 20 years, and then we'll go back to Denmark as soon as Trump and his likes were gone. Everyone wants a peaceful solution. Donald Trump is the only one who seems to want to fight, and I don't even think the American military would want to fight. It just seems crazy and unhinged. It seems like he's going to pay off some of his wealthy donors so he can run for president a third time, to be honest. That's what most Greenlanders are thinking. We don't know, but that's what we're thinking. They already did a poll last year. 6% only was pro-American. I have seen a lot of videos on social media lately where they are saying, I'm sorry, I was wrong about MAGA, I was wrong about America. So I would think it would be even less percent now. So only 6% a year ago, and I think probably even fewer now. 85% overwhelmingly said no last year. As I said, I think the percentage is higher now. So no. Decisively no. Nobody wants NATO to be pitted against each other. Nobody. I mean, nobody, except maybe Donald Trump, and nobody knows why. We're thinking, is he too good friends with Putin, or what is happening here? Nobody wants Greenland to be a battleground. But we have seen a lot of nations kind of step up, and as I mentioned, they're trying to do the last friendly gesture towards America, as well as displaying we do actually have military capabilities. We still want to be friends. But as you saw today, the Canadian Prime Minister, he went to China to try and make new relations. So if Donald Trump wants a new world order, okay, then that's what he's going to get. 74% of Americans, ordinary Americans, do not want to invade Greenland. And I think probably amongst those 74%, most of the military capability is probably in there because they know they would be attacking a NATO ally. They know they will be going into a European country. And since World War II, you know, the Western Hemisphere has kind of banded together. So it's very weird that he's trying to do that. Some Europeans are hoping that maybe he's just trying to get them to really amp up their military quick. I don't think so. I think he wants Greenland, but we'll see.